Oh my God, no, you can't do that. Get out of here.
What? Keeping the beat.
Oh, okay, sure. Keeping the beat, indeed.
You don't like the way it ends.
No.
It's a little extra on the side, and then a little of that. Go the other hand. This and that.
Well, now you definitely got to
This.
stop because we're live once
Hi, guys.
again. You're stuck with us again for today. Welcome to another episode of TFLnow Live. As always, I am Mike.
And I'm Nathan.
And today we're continuing part 2 of the show we started yesterday. So this is basically all of the model year changes, new cars that are going away, or minor tweaks from model year to model year coming up in 2019. But before we get into all that, there's a couple bits of news we must talk about.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so remember the Bugatti Chiron that we talked about yesterday?
The Chiron, yes I do.
That one? Well, Lego, we found out, has gone ahead and built one by themselves. And it's full size, and it works. There it is. So, Lego built, they basically slapped together over 2,300 Lego motors. And they put them in like packs of 96 motors and made a 5.3 horsepower, 68 pound-foot of torque electric motor, which means that this Bugatti Chiron can hit a theoretical top speed of 19 miles an hour. And they did a video with it in which the test driver for Bugatti took it up to a whopping 13 miles an hour.
Yeah, they actually brought it to Volkswagen's test track and put it on the track and ran it. And if my son's watching this, which he probably isn't, no, you cannot have that kit.
And it would be really hard to have that kit because it was over 1 million pieces that they ended up using. And I did an article on this today, so I did some math. The pieces altogether would cost, with an average price of about 10 cents a piece, like $100,000 for the pieces, $115,000 for the pieces. The motors would cost $70,000. And then they had to use a steel frame. They used real Bugatti wheels. And they had to use some batteries. So I figured that altogether, total price of this Bugatti Chiron, like roughly a little over $300,000.
Oh, that's a bargain.
Yeah, compared to a normal Chiron that costs $2.7 million, that is quite a deal. Oh, and dude, we have to make an announcement.
Yes.
Tomorrow, we expect, pending certain things, TFLnow is about to hit 100,000 subscribers. So a big thank you to you guys, our viewers, for watching. We're super excited for this moment. Tell your friends to hit that subscribe button so we can hit 100K tomorrow.
Yeah, so we don't look like a bunch of idiots and we're at 99,999 by tomorrow afternoon.
Please make sure. Whoa, I haven't even gotten to Welcome to the Hood, but ding, Luke O has given us a donation of $2.
Thank you, Luke. Appreciate it, man.
Very much appreciated. Speaking of Welcome to the Hood, you can use YouTube's super chat function to support us. A donation of, I think, $5 gets you on the hood. $10 gets you a sticker. $25 gets you your choice of a TFL car or TFL truck patch, and $50 will net you, didn't get a donation, a hat. So we have 2 varieties of the hat, the black brim or the red brim. We can sign it if you want or not. Doesn't matter. You pick. You tell us. Send us an email to info@tflcar.com if you do make a donation, and let us know your address so we can send you your stuff. Welcome to the Hood. I think that's it. Let's move on to the list because we got a lot to cover.
Actually, longer. Now, yesterday, guys, we went from Acura all the way to Fiat.
Fiat, yep, A through F.
So now we're starting with Ford.
Ford. And what's coming up?
The Ford Ranger, baby. Finally, it's coming.
There it is.
Now, it's been gone since 2011. It's hard for me to say because it's painful. But it's based on the global version of the Ranger. However, it does have a unique platform and unique components for the United States. It also has a 2.3-liter EcoBoost engine, so it's turbocharged. It's a 4-cylinder. There is no U.S. Ranger Raptor yet. But we've seen them developing it and testing it out here, so there's no reason not to assume that it is coming, especially considering that Chevrolet has the ZR2, which is the most capable off-road pickup truck in its segment currently. Basically, the only thing we're not going to be getting from the global version is the turbo diesel. They'll get it, we won't. Big surprise, right?
Yeah, and Ford, there's a scheme in the works here. Kent especially wants to go down to, I think, New Zealand, right?
Yeah.
Or Australia. Because they do have the Ranger Raptor, that one right there, and we might have a chance to drive one if we can scrape together enough Australian dollars to get down there.
Could you imagine Mr. Truck in Australia
He keeps talking about the topless beaches down there.
No. But he's going to start freaking out when he sees the kangaroos. Why the hell are all these deer jumping on their hind legs? Woo!
I'm sure it's the kangaroos he's going to be freaking
Oh,
out.
boy.
What else coming up from Ford in 2019?
Well, it's the new Mustang. It's the new Mustang Bullet, which we had an opportunity to drive. And we have some really good video on that.
We do.
The GT350, it gets upgrades, including, while we're waiting for the GT500, the 350 gets a few upgrades. The next generation Mustang supposedly has been pushed back to 2021. That's what we're hearing now, at least.
So far, but there's some interesting news about that. We think it'll potentially have an all-wheel drive option available because of some news that came out about the platform that it's going to be on. We don't know what implications that has for weight or performance or all that good stuff, but we do think at least that a new Mustang is coming in 2021. Yeah,
that's going to be interesting when it comes out. Now, another vehicle that's changing a little bit is the Ford Edge. The base engine is now going to be a 250 horsepower 2-liter engine. With 275 pound-feet of torque. That's really good for a vehicle that size.
Super torquey.
Well, the best is the Edge ST. That's the sports performance version of it with the 2.7-liter EcoBoost V6. Now, the 2.7 is one of our favorite engines amongst the EcoBoost line. We find it to be powerful and economical. It's been great in everything we've tested. So, 335 horsepower and 380 pound-feet of torque. That's going to be a fast little guy.
Yeah, and we're actually going to get a chance to drive the new Edge very soon. I believe in Park City, Utah. Coming up here in the next couple months, we're going to have that press trip. So be sure to stay tuned for a video review of the new Edge coming very soon. What about the Bronco?
Yeah, you guys want to know about the Bronco,
That's
right?
the big one from Ford, is the Bronco.
Yeah, and the Bronco is supposed to be coming in 2020. Now, this is what we know. They will be using components from the Ford Ranger. So the good news is we'll be able to figure out whether or not it's going to be well balanced based on the frame and a few other things. But other than that, they have been very hush-hush about details with this truck, with the exception of the fact that we know it's going to be pretty square, which is good because that's kind of going back to the old days, right? And they swear up and down that it will be extremely off-road capable, and we're hearing that they are using the Jeep Wrangler as a benchmark. So finally,
it's a really good benchmark.
Jeep Wrangler competitor, right?
Yeah.
So that's going to be interesting. But we know so little about this vehicle. We're just going to have to wait and see.
We also know that there is a baby Bronco on the way that's going to be based on the new Focus platform. But that is about all we know. That picture is pretty much all we have.
It might be called the Maverick. They've recently resubmitted copyright claims for the Maverick name. So,
some minor changes in the Ford lineup. The Transit Connect will get some new engine options, as well as some minor changes to the Escape, the Expedition, the Explorer, the Fiesta, the Super Duty, and of course the Ford Transit. No changes to the Ford EcoSport, the Fiesta ST, the Flex, the F-150, the Ford GT, or the Ford Taurus.
Actually, there's two slight corrections.
Two corrections, guys.
I forgot to mention it, but let's talk about the F-150 Raptor for a second because it did get some changes.
Okay, the Raptor has some changes.
Changes to the Fox shocks.
Different Fox shocks.
And it has trail control.
And trail control, so on off-road mode.
It's a different off-road mode. Okay.
Yeah, it's more advanced off-road mode.
Well, there's another thing.
And the F-150 Limited gets the Raptor engine, so it's 450 horsepower.
So it's at 510 torque or something like that.
Yeah.
Also, what's not on here, which is extraordinary, is the Ford Flex, which apparently they're still building.
Oh, that's right there.
Where?
Flex.
Oh, God. Yeah. See, it's so innocuous, I didn't even notice that you went right over it.
Well, you might confuse it for a large refrigerator.
Let's move on.
And then the big story with Ford actually for 2019 is what's dying, because it's a heck of a lot of their cars. The Fiesta is going to go away in May. The Focus is going to be dead. The Fusion will be leaving us sometime in 2020 or 2021-ish. We don't exactly know. And the C-Max will be dead. Ford has made very clear their intentions to basically rid their lineup of most of their cars, with the exception of the Mustang and the Focus Active.
Yeah, the Active, which is going to be built in China, by the way. So, yeah, interesting idea. Oh, cool.
Trucker Dan, hi y'all. I do have a question. I'm on the hood already. I just like y'all's videos. I'm already a Patreon subscriber. Thank you very much for your support, Trucker Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
Do you think that the Dakota will come back?
Okay, yes, but I don't think it's going to be called the Dakota. They've announced that they want to do a mid-sized truck, and that was all they said. And of course, like 6 weeks later, Sergio dies. So we're kind of left in this lurch. They know that the mid-sized market is growing. They know that they can't just rely on the Jeep Wrangler JT because it's going to be extremely expensive, so they need something entry level. And everything is pointing to them doing it. Will it be based on a Mitsubishi? I think it might be. And if that's the case, then it's going to be about the same size as the current Chevy Colorado and whatnot. But right now we're waiting on details. We've got nothing.
Okay, we got to keep going because we have, well, 7 more pages of notes to get through.
Yes.
And a lot more cars. So moving on to Genesis, there is one new model coming, and you and I both got the chance to drive it. It's the Genesis G70. It's their new entry-level compact sedan. Basically the same platform as the Kia Stinger.
Yep.
And the same engines. So it has a 3.3-liter twin-turbo V6 that makes 365 horsepower, thereabouts. And there's also a 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder that has the option of a manual transmission with rear-wheel drive, which you really loved.
I really did love it.
I was a sucker for the power from the 3.3-liter twin-turbo. I think the rear-wheel drive is still the way to go.
It's smaller than the Stinger, lighter than the Stinger, by the way.
It's a little shorter, and they use a bit more aluminum, so it's about 300 pounds lighter, actually.
Wonderful car. Minor changes come to the G80 and the G90, and that's it. Expect in the near future other vehicles like SUVs hitting soon.
One big thing for Genesis in 2019 is that they're going to be moving to a new dealership network. So rather than buying a Genesis vehicle in a Hyundai dealership, they're going to have their own dealerships that have been converted from old Hyundai dealerships.
Kind of like Lexus to a certain degree.
Yeah, exactly. Moving on to GMC. The Sierra will be all new for 2019. Andre just had the chance to drive one in Nova Scotia, northeastern Canada, for those of you who don't know. What?
Newfoundland.
Newfoundland.
Isn't that near Nova Scotia? No,
Anyway.
maybe not. Newfoundland. Excuse me. Still northeastern Canada. Gosh, geography wasn't my strength.
That's all right.
It's launching now along the new Silverado. Big updates. Obviously, it's completely redesigned. And the tailgate is...
Yeah, it's actually
cool,
a really cool tailgate. I don't know how long that thing's going to last, though. I mean, there's an awful lot of moving parts to it. But
like speakers.
Yeah, and there's speakers in it and everything else. But the whole vehicle is new from the ground up, so it should be a very interesting ride, and we're going to be getting our hands on one very soon.
Looking forward to that. Minor changes coming to the Acadia, the Savannah, the Terrain, and the Yukon. However, the Canyon and the Sierra heavy-duty trucks are seeing no changes, much like the Colorado and the Silverado heavy-duties. They didn't see any changes either. Nothing is dying for GMC this year. Moving on to Honda. We've got the Insight. Go ahead. Yeah,
the Insight. So Honda returns to the hybrid game and taking on the Prius using the Insight. It doesn't look like a hybrid, and that's kind of one of the big points. They have an interesting marketing campaign. They say, "Fight me, bureaucracy," or
fight meh,
bureaucracy. Yeah, meh. Even that idea is kind of meh.
Apparently, if you buy an Insight, every other car on the road is a meh mobile.
Oh, wait. Jean Michael Racinos. Should Subaru come back with a new Baja? I'll let you answer that.
No. Okay, moving. Kidding. The rumor was at one point that they were actually considering it. Yeah. One of the things you have to remember is even though the Baja did sell all right, it kind of fell short of certain expectations, and it never got a major refresh, nor did it get a secondary model off the new platform. And a lot of that had to do with the fact at the time that they were partnered with General Motors, and some of that had to do with the fact that there just wasn't enough sales numbers. I personally believe that they could sell them, but Subaru right now is playing the safety game. They are keeping everything safe and simple, and whenever it's a CVT, it's not great on Goldmine Hill. All right, let's move on.
You know what? And regardless of whether or not they make it, we're not going to drive it anyway. So.
Oh yeah, we will. We'll buy one.
We'll just
Screw
buy
it.
one.
We'll buy it. Whatever they don't allow us to drive, we will buy and drive.
The 2019 Pilot and HR-V are also seeing some updates. Andre was just in California driving the new Pilot and looking at the new HR-V. Or did he drive it as well?
No, he just looked at it.
He just looked at it. The Honda gets a facelift for both of them. Oh my gosh. Oh gosh. Three dings this time.
3 dings.
Kirk 189, $24.99. Big fan of you guys here for the Jeep JT news. We'll get there very soon.
Yes, we will.
Let me write your name on the hood. You keep going about the Pilot and the HR-V.
Okay, Pilot and HR-V. So the Pilot has the same 3.5-liter V6. It's either 6 or 9-speed auto. There's been some augmented interior components and whatnot. And Andre drove it, as we said, and there's a great video of him actually taking one into the dirt and having a little bit of fun. There are no changes coming to the Accord, the Clarity, the Fit, the Odyssey, or the Ridgeline. And we'll move on to Hyundai while Junior plays with the board.
I'm almost done.
He actually has really good writing for, being a blonde. The Hyundai Veloster N.
Ooh.
First high-performance N model here in the United States. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, so Hyundai did something very clever and basically poached a lot of the top minds from the German brands. So they took Albert Biermann, the ex-BMW M Division, he ran the M Division, basically, and he helped develop the Veloster N. It was developed at the Nürburgring, although N doesn't stand for Nürburgring. It stands for Nanjing, which is it's somewhere in Korea, a track in Korea, right?
Mm-hmm. Something like that.
We haven't driven one yet, but I really want to because this is like kind of an in-between. I think I'll call it the Honda Type R fighter.
Yeah, and also you're like exactly in the demographic for that car. And I just want to drive it because I like driving fun cars.
Hear that, Hyundai? Exactly in the demographic.
Well, I mean, am I wrong?
No, I think you're exactly right.
Yeah, I'm exactly right.
So just on first impression, Mike, what do you think of that versus your GTI?
I'm going to shout out to Top Gear here because they did something really interesting with the Veloster N. They put it on their test track in the rain against a performance pack GTI, and the difference in time was something ridiculous. Like, I want to say it was almost like 6 seconds or something crazy like that. This chassis tune and the way that they've managed powering just the front wheels, even compared to something like my cars, they've done a really good job according to Top Gear. But I don't know, and I also have to do that because Joseph Peoples gave us $15. Great show, guys. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much, Joseph.
Thank you, Joseph. We appreciate that, and thank you for the compliment. Okay, let's move on to the Santa Fe. Now, the Santa Fe, it has a new design. It replaces the Santa Fe Sport. Roman just drove one in Utah, and he took it off-road. So it's getting a 2.2-liter diesel in addition to the 2-liter turbo engine and the 2.4-liter naturally aspirated engine. The old Santa Fe currently lives on as the Santa Fe XL.
3 rows.
3 rows. The Elantra has just been redesigned. In fact, we had a surprise reveal. We weren't expecting to see this thing with an all-new front fascia. It has automatic braking as standard on the SAL model, and the engines are largely unchanged.
You know, Roman told us a really funny story about this. He was there driving, was it the Santa Fe that he was driving, the new Santa Fe, in Utah, and all of a sudden at dinner they just said, hey, come downstairs, we want to show you guys something, and it turned out to be the world debut of this car, which is kind of a funny way to do it.
We have a pretty good relationship with Hyundai, including Jim Traynor, who's one of the head guys there, and Hyundai they do things a little differently. And first of all, they treat us well, us being TFL, in terms of they're not treating us like idiots. They say, hey, if our car says it can go off-road, take it off-road. If our car says it's a racetrack car, we're going to take it on the racetrack. They're really cool about that, and I give them a lot of credit. And they're coming up with new stuff, including the Kona EV, which is a fully electric version of the Kona, and it's going to have 250 miles range.
Good range.
It's actually pretty cool looking, I think. It's front-wheel drive only, so it's not going to be an all-wheel drive vehicle, but think of it as a tall hatchback that is a hatchback. Did I say tall hatchback that is a hatchback?
Yep.
A tall wagon that is a hatchback. There you go.
Also coming up in Hyundai's electric or electrified range is actually their first hydrogen fuel cell car. It's called the Nexo, and that will have 370 miles of range.
Yep.
It'll only be on sale in California for now, and that's just due to the fact that California is one of the few states that really has a good infrastructure set up for hydrogen fuel.
It's not even a good one, but it is a basic one.
It's like the only one.
Yeah.
Of course, there's a few minor changes throughout the lineup. The Tucson gets a mid-cycle facelift, and the Sonata has a few small minor changes. No changes to the Accent, the Elantra GT hatchback, which is another fun car that we really like, or the Ioniq. So no dead cars for Hyundai either. Moving on to Infiniti.
Yes, and they have the all-new QX50, which is a 2019 model. It's going to have the new variable compression engine. It's sort of 2 engines in one, and yes. Oh, go for it.
Ding! Skinetic, $5. Thanks for cleaning up Goldmine Hill. Fun little trail, and hope it stays open. Keep the good content coming. Thank you, Skinetic.
We appreciate that, and I got to tell you, I'm really glad that we actually had an opportunity to do that. That was something that was a little bit, I don't know, for once in our lives we were a little unselfish and did something righteous, right? Okay, let's move on. Minor updates come to the Q50, the Q60, the QX80, which gets a facelift, the QX30, and the Q70. If they ever move to another letter other than Q, I might throw myself off a building.
Don't do
I swear. Well, when they went, okay.
Well, if you did that, then you'd be like the Q50 hybrid and the
Which is-
Q70 hybrid,
which are
both
dead.
dead.
Yeah, there you go.
Before we move on to the next brand, actually, let's go back to Hyundai for a second.
Oh yeah, do we miss something?
Because there was a good question in the comments.
Oh gosh.
The Hyundai Palisade coming soon. Now, we don't actually know that it's going to be called the Palisade.
Yeah.
The one that goes above.
That's a really good question. So the Palisade is similar to the Kia. What was it?
Telluride.
Telluride, which was a concept, basically a full-size 3-row SUV, not crossover, an SUV, which is what they're trying to design it to be, something that can actually tow, rumor has it, over 6,000 pounds easily, hold up to 8 people, bigger than the Honda Pilot, smaller than a Yukon. That's kind of where we're at with
big
this.
SUV.
Fairly big SUV. So they have not announced anything official.
Do you want to do this one?
Yeah.
Ding! Michelle Luna, $9.99.
Oh, Michelle, thank you.
You guys are being really fantastic.
You guys rock. Thank you, thank you.
Awesome.
So yeah, we don't have any information on that, but here's what we do know. They are testing them. We don't know which one is which, but we've seen camouflage versions of these vehicles running around. And most likely the test mules that we're seeing, it doesn't really matter what the nameplate is on there because they're probably testing out different type of engine transmission setups. So that's all we got for now, but we are keeping an eye on that because this is SUV country and they do test in our backyard.
And you can bet your sweet bippy that the second we get one, we're going to drive it.
You
and
bet
we're
your
going
ass.
to take it off-road. Okay, moving on to Jaguar. We're at J's now. The I-Pace, which is Jaguar's first EV, an electric crossover. Roman drove one not too long ago. That video is up on TFL Car, and there's one on TFLnow as well. There it is. I think it looks actually really nice. It's one of those.
Oh, I think it's stellar.
It's a really good-looking electric vehicle. Not to be confused with the E-Pace, which is not electric.
Yeah, it's really confusing. So I apologize on behalf of Great Britain. The fact is that they shouldn't say anything with an E if they're not going to call it electric. I don't understand the point.
It's really confusing.
Yeah.
So the I-Pace is the electric one. The E-Pace is just a normal crossover. There's also going to be the Jaguar XE SV Special Vehicles Project 8. Look at that thing. Ooh, that screams performance.
That is pretty cool looking.
It's an XE with a supercharged 5-liter V8, 592 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 3.4 seconds, and you can buy in at $188,495. And they're going to be very limited. So if you want one
For that price, I hope they are.
better fork over 188 grand. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So the F-Pace, go for it.
Trucker Dan, $40. Y'all should do just a Q&A video. There seems to be a lot of questions here. I think it would be fun and new. Also, can you say Power Wagon okay?
Power wagon, no cap!
I think
How about that?
There you go.
Blow out your ears a little bit there. Sorry, guys. I really miss that Power Wagon. And she who must be obeyed, my wife.
Do you want to let you have one?
No way.
Well, you can at least get a T-shirt that says Power Wagon Don't Care by going to teespring.com/TFL.
It's a pretty cool looking
like
T-shirt.
that.
I got to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It's got a 70s vibe to it.
I had that one designed just for you, Nate.
I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Figures with the 70s thing. The F-Pace also gets a V8, by the way. It's called the F-Pace SVR.
Ooh.
And minor updates come to the E-Pace, the F-Type, the XF, and the XJ. Now, finally.
Time to move on. You guys have been waiting for it.
Jeep.
Talking about Jeeps. So, starting out with the Wrangler. The new Wrangler JL went on sale this year, 2018, but the 2-liter mild hybrid that many people had been long awaiting had basically just started hitting dealerships.
That's the E-Torque, right? Is that what we're calling it?
Yeah, it's a
it's a
48-volt mild hybrid.
So this hybrid doesn't work like your regular hybrid, and they don't even like the term hybrid, by the way. Basically what it does is when you're at a stoplight, it helps you get up and go without having to use your transmission and gas.
Yeah.
And as such, it helps gas mileage quite a bit if you think about it.
You know, not a huge amount, not compared to like a regular hybrid, but enough to be noticeable.
Enough to scoot you forward and
Yeah.
actually eliminate a little bit of the power loss that you would suffer when you take off from a dead stop.
Right.
And if you think about it, start-stop systems and all that attempt to kind of assist with that as well. So
Right.
that's the purpose of it. So the 2-liter, which I have driven, by the way, and it was excellent, but I only drove it off-road. I didn't actually take it on the streets. So it's just like, I can only tell you how good it is as off-road, which is sort of strange, but in the near future, I promise I'll be testing one of those on the streets as well. Full hybrid eco-diesel versions are coming. Eco-diesel is kind of a weird question because they just recently announced that they're getting rid of all their diesels. So what the hell does that mean?
Who knows?
Anybody?
Who knows?
God.
Let us know what you think of eco-diesels in the comments.
The Jeep truck is coming.
There we
JT.
go. We got there. The Jeep truck. There's been like 50 bajillion spy photos of the Jeep truck. And it seems to be one of those unfortunate cases where things just keep getting delayed a little bit. and delayed some more, and then they've delayed it a little bit more now. So tell us about the Jeep truck.
Yeah, I can tell you that I'm not that discouraged about the fact that there's delays, and here's why. I happen to know, I have some inside information. I know these Jeep guys, and they're trying to get it right. I mean, if they bring out a vehicle prematurely and it doesn't measure up to your expectations off-road or on the street, then they've screwed up and they've forever affected the line.
Yeah.
So if they come out with the truck at the right time where everything has been checked, everything works off-road and on the street, then it's going to be a much better truck. And keep in mind, it has to compete with Chevy Colorado ZR2.
Yeah.
If it cannot take that vehicle and or even keep up with it, then what the hell are they doing? I mean, there's a reason why they have to do that. So that's the negative. Yes, it's been delayed a lot. Hopefully, either at the LA Auto Show or at the Detroit 2019 show, which is the last one, by the way, in January before they move the date, we should finally see it in the flesh. And I don't think you guys should get too hung up on the looks because it's pretty much going to look a lot like the Brute, which has been around for, 10 years now?
Yeah.
So it's not going to be that different. But with that being said, it's going to be interesting to see how they handle a much longer wheelbase, having a tire underneath, having, a breakover angle that's much, much longer than they've had before.
Yeah.
All these things, and they still want to maintain its off-road cred. So it's all coming in the near future. We have a lot of little bits and pieces of information that are spread all over our pages from TFLtruck.com and TFLcar.com.
Yeah.
Everywhere. So we have a lot of stuff. Unfortunately, this show can't be dedicated to it. I wish it were.
Yeah, we got to keep moving, dude.
Yeah, because we got the Cherokee, which has had facelift for 2019.
Yep.
And it has the 2-liter turbo in addition to the 3.2-liter V6. Now, Tommy and I drove the 2-liter turbo off-road, and it was great. It did really well. However, I feel that it had a little bit too much turbo lag when you were trying to two-foot it, and you were starting to torque up and trying to pull up over a hill. All of a sudden, you have to wait a second for the power to kick in. So that is something to keep in mind. There is some turbo lag.
Did you do this with one tire, like 6 feet in the air?
Yep.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, and we had it covered in mud, too.
Nice. Okay, also the Renegade getting a facelift. It's also getting a 1.3-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, like the Fiat 500X that we talked about yesterday. And then there's some minor updates to the Compass and the Grand Cherokee. Back to the Wrangler for a brief moment.
Yes.
Because the Moab edition is coming out.
Oh, the Moab edition. Yeah.
So, there it is. It's kind of an appearance package with some mild off-roady components.
Well, the wheels and tires, I believe.
Wheels and tires are kind of comprehensive. It slots kind of in between the Sahara and the Rubicon.
Yeah, you can tell by the roof. If the roof is matching color to the rest of the body panels, usually it says Sahara. So this is basically a slightly more upgraded Sahara version.
Slightly. We've done videos on it, though, on TFL.
Yes.
So go check those out. All right, moving on to Kia. So Kia has two big updates. The Forte is going to be longer, wider, and taller than the previous model.
And we just drove one.
We just drove. Andre
just drove one, and he loved it so much that he wanted to keep steering wheel to put on front his door so he could look every day.
Yes, Doc.
Yeah, that video went up this morning on TFLnow.
New video just came out.
This morning on TFLnow.
147 horsepower out of a 2-liter inline 4, and obviously it looks very different than the old model.
Yeah, it's kind of a slick-looking little car.
Now, the K900, which is Kia's giant luxury barge, that has gotten a redesign. There it is. It was never exactly a strong seller to begin with. But this new one gets some goodies from the Kia Stinger, like the 3.3-liter twin-turbo V6. So, looks are always subjective.
Yeah, moving on.
Minor updates to the Sedona and the Sorento, and there's no changes to the Cadenza, the Forte Coupe with a K, the Forte 5 hatchback, the Nero, the Optima, the Rio, the Soul, the Sportage,
or the Stinger.
Lamborghini, the Aventador
SVJ.
Super Veloce Jota model. Close to 800 horsepower, 6.5-liter V12. It costs more than $600,000.
I'd rather get that over a Bugatti.
Yeah, and it's going to go around the Nürburgring probably faster than anything else in the world because the Huracan Performante was the last thing to do that.
And it set a record, didn't it?
Speaking of the Huracan Performante, there is now a Spider version. It's basically a convertible version of the Performante, 631 horsepower out of a 5.2-liter V10. That'll cost over $314,500. There it is. Super fast No, that's a Ferrari. And then there's the Lamborghini Urus? Urus?
Yes.
I still don't really know how to say that.
Uranus.
You are us.
Uranus.
The Lamborghinis, it's Lamborghini's first SUV in 30 years, besides the LM002, which is really cool.
That was a real off-road vehicle.
This one has 641 horsepower out of a twin-turbo V8, and it'll cost upwards of $200,000, and I believe it's based on the same platform as the Audi Q8.
Yeah, and it also shares some of the same components. The thing is, this is technically considered the entry-level Lamborghini, I guess.
Technically, yeah. I think you're right.
Old man Lamborghini is rolling in his grave. No more manuals
How much
made.
does a base Huracan cost? Do we know?
Gee, if I only had that on me, how would I know?
I don't know. Anything you're not shopping
Roman's not here. We don't have him.
You're not shopping for Huracans on a regular basis?
All right. Let's move on.
Time to move on to Land Rover.
Yes.
So the Range Rover and Range Rover Sport are getting plug-in hybrid models. There's a two-door limited version, the SV Coupe. So you can have a hybrid, or you can have a sports Range Rover. Not the Range Rover Sport, a sporty Range Rover. Some small changes to the Discovery, the Disco Sport, the Range Rover, and the Evoque. And tip your hats, rest in peace. The Range Rover Evoque convertible is dead.
Okay, now
moving on.
No. We need to do the Roman Micah loved it.
No.
Yes, he did.
No,
he loved it. He did.
He did?
I swear to God.
No.
He did. There was something
Did
really
he
wrong.
also love the Nissan?
They hit him with
Murano
electricity when he was a kid. Look, yeah, I think he did like that a little bit.
No, he did not.
Yes, he was saying that this is like the only vehicle made like this. No, he really did like the Land Rover. I kid you not. He was crazy for it. I have no idea what was wrong with him.
Too bad for Roman because the Evoque convertible is dead. I actually saw one driving around the other day and I thought, I wonder who bought that. Lexus, the ES is getting its first ES F Sport model with a 3.5-liter V6 engine. And you tell us about the UX.
The UX is good for the urban experience. It's Lexus' first subcompact crossover.
Oh, they're
it competes.
That market.
Yeah, they are. It competes against the BMW X1, X2, Audi Q3, and the Volvo XC40. There's more on this vehicle coming soon. We really don't.
You know what that is? Speaking of Roman, he's been in the cold north of Sweden driving one.
This is why Roman is persona non grata here, because he's been traveling to all these cool places.
He's been traveling to Sweden, to Stockholm. You know, I studied abroad in Sweden. Moving on. Dead for Lexus is the GS 450H, which is the hybrid model.
Yeah.
And there's some minor changes to the RC Coupe. It's getting a facelift, which I think that news actually just came out today. The GSF, the IS, and the RCF are all getting minor changes.
Minor tweaks.
The GS, the GX, the LS, the LX, and the NX, gosh, that's a lot of S's, X's, and G's and L's, all have no changes. Speaking of L's, moving on to Lincoln.
Let's talk about the Aviator. This will be slotted between the Navigator and the Nautilus, and the Nautilus is going to replace the MKX. It'll be a rear drive platform shared with the new Explorer. Yes, the new Explorer is going to have a rear drive platform. And there will be a hybrid version of it. It's the size, I think, is what's going to make it really compelling. And the fact that it's going to have the EcoBoost power plant is going to make it fast. So two positives already right off the bat. Nautilus is going to replace the MKX, as we mentioned. And it's going to have two engines, the 245 horsepower 2-liter 4-cylinder, or a 335 horsepower 2.6-liter EcoBoost V6,
there you go.
like the Edge ST. So it'll be a frickin' rocket.
It'll be fast. The MKC is getting a facelift to match the rest of the lineup. Lincoln has a new design language, and our slideshow's gone.
Okay.
But anyways, a new model may be coming in 2020. It might be called the Corsair. So Lincoln is actually kind of going back to those old grandiose big names like Navigator and Nautilus.
Thank God.
Corsair. Minor changes to the MKZ sedan and no changes to the Continental or the Navigator or the MKT.
The MKT. Allow me to elaborate.
Here we go.
Here's a brine whale married with a refrigerator in terms of styling.
A brine
the
whale?
guy who put it together, his name is Max. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say you can easily find him on the internet. But Max designed this vehicle, and I feel, I didn't say his last name, and I feel that this vehicle set Lincoln in the wrong direction. They spent a lot of money and a lot of time with these designs years ago, and this thing is still being built. Stop it! Stop!
This is a Ford Flex, right?
Bad, Lincoln. Bad. Yes, it's a Ford Flex, basically.
A Ford Flex.
You guys, please. It's not. I don't want any automaker to not succeed, but by continuously having this come out there and scaring people, it's not a good way to convey your new aesthetic, right? The new Lincoln Navigator, that's a good new aesthetic. Why don't you stick to that? And then you take the MKT and you just kind of do this and like, I don't know where it went. It just disappeared.
Okay. Right.
Gone.
Okay, we get it. You don't like the MKT. I agree.
I'm just saying that the design hurt Lincoln and you need to get rid of it.
Oh, their new design language is just
much
so better. It's in a different galaxy from whatever this.
Now, speaking of design.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to call it a turd. It's a turd.
Okay, there you go.
Looks like a turd.
But,
speaking of design.
Yeah, so Lotus, if you guys were curious, all good. Nothing changed.
Just the Evora. And we did it. That's it.
That's it.
That's
Any others?
it for today.
So let's get some questions. Do we have anything else going on?
Yeah, so let's, this was funny. Juan Catalina says, Nathan, tell Roman to sell Tommy's JK and Hellcat and get a Power Wagon. Ha 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 ha.
Yeah, I would. But
can you toss me that, Zach? Just a little toss. Yeah, here. That one. Yeah. Yeah, just toss it. Okay. There you go, Gregor. We're not hiding your hula girl. There she is.
You guys are curious about this?
Oh, yeah, we know how to do this.
For some reason, I've got a couple trolls who have been chasing me around swearing that I'm only 5'10". Look, I don't mind if I were, but I'm not. So please measure me. My height.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say.
Just, yeah.
Okay. All right, step on this. Step there.
Now, I'll say my shoes are probably going to give me at least an inch.
We'll subtract an inch for shoes. Oh, there's. All right, we'll call it, 72 right there.
Okay.
No, 73.
73. Can you show the camera?
I can try. 73.
Okay, there we go. So,
oh my gosh. Can you see that? I don't know if you can see that.
When I wear my
73.
When I wear my boots, like I have these combat boots, I'm about 6'2". When I wear my shoes, I'm about 6'1".
Yeah.
There you go.
It's settled. He's well above 6 feet.
And he's 6'2", so he ought to know.
I ought to know.
And you're Swedish. They don't lie about that stuff.
My grandmother is from Gothenburg. Great grandmother's from Gothenburg.
And they can get a smoking.
Okay, so that was it for today. We did what was that? F through L. And then tomorrow we're going to do the rest of the alphabet, which someone pointed out in yesterday's show. Volkswagen is not the last car maker in the alphabet. It's a Volvo.
Yeah.
So tomorrow... Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. Double ding. Triple ding.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. Trucker Dan, once again, how did you, Nathan, meet Roman, and what made you all decide to do YouTube? Also, this makes a total of $50. What did I win? You won a hat, so send us an email to info@tflcar.com and we'll send a hat your way.
Yeah, and we'll sign it if you want to.
Yeah, signing possible. How do you meet Roman?
Okay, real quick. I was an automotive journalist working at VHIX and Automobile.com and a few other rags, and Roman was doing videos for Iron Man stuff, and about 10 years ago, he and I met a few times, and I think the first time we really met as professionals was, remember when Cerberus was buying out Chrysler?
Yeah.
Well, when they came to talk about that, I met Roman at that. He had a little video camera in hand, and he was like going in the guy's face, and he realized who I was. I realized who he was. We talked for a little bit. Next thing you know, the Ford Flex was the first video he and I did together about 9 years ago.
Ford Flex?
Or, 9 years ago.
Wow.
And after that, progressively, we just started doing more and more together, and progressively, it suddenly just started to happen. So
we're into four channels, technically five.
Five channels.
Classics.
Classics, especially with that badass El Camino video you put in there.
Go check out 1972 El Camino 400.
TFL Classics.
It was my grandpa's car.
10,000 subscribers.
We got one more. Dalen Fillenworth. Hey guys, thanks for the great content. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, and Gregor Miller, $15. Thank you. My day is full now because we got a hula girl. So guys, thank you so much for tuning into this episode of TFL Now Live. We tried to keep it shorter than yesterday's show, which went on for like 45 minutes. So here we are at 38 minutes, and we're gonna close it out.
Yeah, quick thing. Tomorrow we're doing more, and by tomorrow, hopefully, we'll be at over 100,000 subscribers on TFL Now.
Speaking of hula girls, Andre's gonna wear a grass skirt, a hula skirt, if we hit 100K tomorrow. He's gonna come on.
Buy that for $1.
He's gonna come on the live show in a grass skirt and hula dance for everybody.
I think I have some.
If we hit 100K tomorrow,
I have coconuts at home.
Some coconuts. Oh, nice. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna play us out.
Okay, he's gonna play us out. Thanks again, guys. We appreciate it. And by the way, guys, thank you so much for all of these amazing emails and comments. And after this becomes a regular video, which will be 20 minutes or so, we'll read the comments as well and try to get back to you on that.
We'll do our best. Thanks for tuning in. And this isn't playing any music. Oh, it's because
what is? If you want me to get my 9-year-old, you could probably help. Oh, this is good.
You know, Andre
Once again.
he learned English by listening to rap music from the 90s. That's a fun fact.
Actually, it is a true fact.
That's true. That's a true fact.